Hi, this is a video about all the mods I've done to my Tamiya Jaw Hunter, an in-depth look at them. So, the main modifications I've made are Traxxas electronics. I've got the EVX-2 speed controller, I've got the twin Titan 21 turn motors in place of the standard Tamiya silver cans. I've got the twin 8.4 volts, which makes 16.8 volts total. The one is in the standard position across the centre of the car, and the other one I've made a temporary sort of battery tray. I'm going to hopefully do that and improve that in the future, but that just holds that there, which helps for wheelies because obviously it's at the back. That's a bonus. Obviously it's got full ball bearings, that goes without saying. I've changed the 18 tooth pinions to 20 tooth without major modifications. Those are the only choices you have on this car. Give it a bit more speed. The battery tray was meccano, just some old tatty bits of meccano I had lying around. Originally I had two air racing shock towers, aluminium shock towers. They look good. Unfortunately they don't stand up to abuse very well, so I've had an experiment to see if I could make one out of a chopping board. As you can see, it's very thick, much more flexible, but also very strong, so it can take the hits, but it's not going to break. The back one seems to be standing up okay, but the front one definitely needed replacing. I've got Air Racing 100mm dampers on there. They come with three different types of shocks, and I've used the soft ones on there. And I've got 300 weight oil in there, so not particularly brilliantly damped. So it doesn't need to be too stiff. It's an off-road truck anyway, so it does the job. A little bit of droop. These look great. Probably nowhere near as good as, say, Traxxas ones. If I ever replace them, I'll probably put the extra long Traxxas ones on there. You can buy the parts for them and rebuild them when they break. Well, they do the job pretty good. What else have I done? I've got a XQ Power, just a cheap Chinese brand, high torque Metal Gear servo. And on one side I've got a Traxxas Turnbuckle. I think it's a 73mm. As you know, if you've ever tried to centre a servo, they never sit in the centre. They're always off to one side slightly. So that just makes things a little easier to set up and gives me a bit of adjustment. The wheelie bar is from a Wild Willy 2. It normally has one wheel in the centre, but that was rubbish. So for a bit more stability, I've just put a couple of toy grade RC Subaru wheels on there. A couple of stainless screws. They do the job. Haven't used it a lot with this, so it remains to be seen how well they stand up to any abuse. But I've got a quick release battery holder. Of course, fit that on Tamiyas. I think that's a great thing to have. Just the battery slides straight out then. On the other side, it was just a standard piece blanking it off, but I've fitted an Tamiya M05 battery holder, I don't know what you'd call it, just because it supports the battery underneath, just gives it a bit more stability, stops the battery moving around so much. What else have I done? I've got Ofna dog bones on the rear. Not really much you can see there, so I can show you. That's the standard Tamiya dog bone. That's the Ofna dog bone. Don't know if you can see that, whether it's clear. It's very slightly thicker, very slightly longer, because it tends to chew up the originals, just twist them, and eventually they break. But usually it's unusable before it breaks. I've never had a problem with one of those. They seem to be able to stand up to endless of wheelies and amounts of abuse. The front, I'm running standard Tamiya dog bones. But at one point I did try upgrading to the CBDs, which look smart, and most people recommend you use them. However, the pins always used to bend or break. Almost every run I was bending or breaking a pin. They only come with one grub screw, but I started to use two, and I super glued the pin in place when I put it through. I put glue on those to stop them backing out, thread lock, and it didn't seem to make any difference. Nice piece, but it just can't stand the power. I think that was a year racing one, I might be wrong. I also tried these. It's got the standard caster blocks, standard Tamiya plastic steering parts on there. Probably not that visible there. Did try these, again year racing. Look really nice, a lot stronger. Never broke them. Unfortunately they allow more steering angle, which you'd think is a good thing. Unfortunately it just meant the dog bones would pop out. So I stopped using them. Those are going to go on my TLO one when I get round to it. The main problem with the front actually is these screws at the bottom. They take, for some reason, they take a lot of abuse, and it damages the thread. So I get through quite a few of those. I've started repairing the thread now. I just pour super glue in there and re-tap a new thread, and they seem to be just as strong, if not stronger, than the originals. So hopefully I shouldn't need to buy any more of those. Another thing you can't see inside there is the heavy duty front axle. Now that's the standard one, standard Tamiya one. I think those are made by 3 Racing. In fact, I think these were 3 Racing as well, actually, not Yeah Racing. The only difference is they're black, they're stronger, and instead of just 2 slots, they have 4 slots, which I thought would make them weaker, but actually they're heavy duty, and again I've had no trouble with them at all. Since I've gone back to the standard steering blocks, used the heavy duty front axles, I haven't had any dog bones pop out at all. Obviously you have to run these small rubber washers, one at either end. I think they're just the standard Tamiya shock washers, or shock seals, they just seem to fit them on everything. The receiver is not waterproof, it's protected by this natty looking pink cover here. Bit of a shame it's pink, but it works. So all it needs is the servo and the receiver replaced with waterproof ones, or I might use a Traxxas waterproof box when I upgrade to 2.4 gig for this, and then it'll be completely waterproof. Although I do use it in the rain now, and it's never had a problem. The servo's mounted up quite high in the chassis, and that's mounted up there, well protected with the cover on. So I've never had any problem with water getting inside. One problem I had, after a lot of jumps, the front gearbox, which is here, identical front and back, but the front one, it mounts in 4 different places on each side, and it's one of those. Once you take the 8 screws, it just drops straight out. Unfortunately, after a lot of jumps, and I might try and fit a video of one of those jumps in now, just to show you. After a lot of those jumps, the very small short screws that hold the gearbox in, they go there, there, there and there on both sides, and you can see this is just falling to pieces. Smash them off, smash that up, and those 2 are completely gone, those 2 there. So I got new gearbox halves, rebuilt it, and I used much longer screws. I think the standard screws are 4 or 5 mil, maybe 6, something like that, and I think I used 20 mil stainless steel hex screws, so that hasn't happened again. But that's a real weak point which I'd never heard of before. So if you're building one of these and you're thinking about upgrades as you build it, it's worth fitting some much longer screws into there, and I checked they don't interfere with any of the moving parts. You can have them almost meeting in the middle. I probably could have fitted 25 or maybe even 30 mil screws. A future upgrade is this. I bought this on eBay not long ago from Hong Kong, I think it was, or China. It cost me about £7 or £8, and it's just an alloy replacement for that wheelie bar for the Wild Willy 2. Comes with a nice rubber tyre with bearings in, kind of like the Traxxas upgrade bearing wheels for the wheelie bar. And what I might do the same with this as I've done with that, and have one either side, because when it wheelies it tends to just go up like that and one wheel loses traction and it starts to wobble around. Anyone who's interested in using those Ofna dog bones, by the way, they're part number 17145. I'd recommend getting them, even on a standard Jaw Hunter, Wild Dagger, and any of those same cars that use the, I think it's double blaze, that use the same chassis, because they're really strong. Drop straight in the back, you'll never bend them. Well, I haven't. I don't know anyone who has. For some reason I can't fit them in the front, so a lot of people say they use them in the front. But even when I've taken those two rubber washers out, I haven't been able to get them to work in the front. Possibly because I've got the longer suspension travel, and so maybe that causes interference at the extremes. I don't know. It doesn't seem to interfere when it's just standard like that, but as soon as the suspension starts moving they start interfering, so I don't run them on the front. At the back I've had to fit the stainless steel pin set. I think again that's Yeah Racing. I tend to use quite a lot of their parts. Just a suspension pin with a clip on either end, 4 of them. The front uses a bar, probably can't see that, but it's in here, and it goes from one side and all the way around then back through again, and that's held in place by the bumper. As soon as you replace the bumper, obviously there isn't one on the back, so with the wheelie bar you need to replace those. It's a bit of a pain using E-clips, but it looks a bit better and it works fine. I've never had one fail. The only upgrades I really want to do to this in the future are wheels and tyres and a waterproof servo, which I already have, and replacing the wheelie bar. So as this truck's set up now, I really don't see the need for more power. It's pretty much at the limit of what the chassis can handle. More things will start breaking if I put more power through it. It wheelies on demand. The batteries last over half an hour, maybe 40 minutes. One fully charged battery, so I mean that's perfect for what I need. Apart from the couple of upgrades I've already mentioned, the only thing I really want to do is strip the rear diff out and not lock it completely, but maybe use some really thick oil in there, grease I beg your pardon, just to help the stability when it's wheeling and going off-road. That's pretty much it. Oh, I will be eventually replacing this body, which I didn't paint. This was on it when I got it, so it was a second-hand one, with another 1979 Ford pickup body, which originally I had on this. I might see if I can slip a video in at this point, a quick shot of that so you can see what it looked like. I think it looked really good. I've never found a better body for this truck. I think that looks smart, so that's probably what I'll go back to eventually, along with some Proline wheels and tyres. And that's pretty much it. Not the perfect truck. You could probably go out and buy a E-Maxx or something like that and not have to bother with all these upgrades, but you know, I like to take Tamiyas and upgrade them, make them better. Dynamically they're not the best trucks, but they always look good. I always like the way they look, and I grew up always liking them. Traxxas weren't around when I was a kid, so unfortunately my Stampede 2-wheel drive is actually a better truck. Faster, more reliable, and about the same off-road, even though it's 2-wheel drive. This maybe has a slight advantage, but not much. But it was fun modifying this and getting it to the stage that it's at now, and I do have a lot of fun every time I use it. So, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful if you're looking at doing one of these yourselves. And feel free to like, comment or subscribe.